Okay. I am on the air, line, or via the cable, whatever. Uh, I have experienced maybe for the first time by YouTube. Quite relative famous Norwegian man, Hans Christian Gaarder, died not so long ago. He was found in his house in Norway, dead, and the abduction, according to NRK.no, the Norwegian national broadcasting company, they write that the abduction report says that they found COVID-19 in his body post mortem. Okay, so Hans Christian Gaarder, he was a civil economist. It means he has a very good education within economy, but he has also worked for many years for the public system in Norway, and he was, among others, an investigator investigating corruption, criminal actions within the public system. And so he calls himself, well, he's dead now, but he called himself, how can I say, across the line researcher, not only in economy. Economy was his basis, but and he said that some years ago, just like me, his eyes were opened when he saw some videos about conspiracy. For myself, personally, it was I think it must have been in 2007, 2008, and he refers to similar videos that were posted on YouTube about that there were some conspiracies about what happened on September 11 in New York, 2001. So just like me, Gordo, he thought, "Oh, that is ridiculous. How can they make conspiracies about that?" So he went into the matter just to prove to himself that there is no reason for conspiracy. The official version is great. And for YouTube not to censor me now again, I will not. Rather than to say that there were many, so many convincing points in these conspiracy theories about 9/11 that the Gorder was shocked. And like he say, he has, or he had an intuition, not only intuition, he had a lot of experience in picking out different facts or so-called facts, and then to separate what was just lies and not seriously founded theories, and to take up what was serious, and to establish that this sounds like a good argument. And just like me, he went into down many rabbit holes, and he, as I understand, he was a religious person, but he was not like me, limited to. I am limited because of my conviction. I'm limited to the Bible, to the evangelical Protestant understanding of the Bible. And Christian Gorder, he quoted quite a lot the Bible and Jesus. So at least he respected the Bible, he respected Jesus, but he was also he was very open to extraterrestrial stuff. He claimed that alien bases on the moon and on Mars and on, I think it was Jupiter. He said they're the creatures there, they are similar to human beings. all of those things I do not agree with, but also I didn't put a lot of effort into those things because I really don't know, and that is not my main. Personally, I think that aliens, they are basically from the spiritual dimension. That is what I can say. But here we are talking about political killings and conspiracies and censorship. That is the point of my video. So now of course, I cannot say that the Gorder was killed because people die of natural reasons, right? What is quite interesting, though, is that the Gorder, he was 60 years old, and he seemed to be in a good physical and mental shape. He had some seminars in his barn in the southeast of Norway, in the countryside, in March 26, probably also March 27. And there were maybe 20 people coming to his barn where he was giving these lectures. And so the topic of those lectures were about the past election with Donald Trump and Joe Biden and those things. But also he was supposed to have on the Saturday, so that would be March 27, if I'm not totally wrong. I just got this information from the Norwegian seminar there, where they would initiate some kind of taken against persons who are responsible for many of the limits on our personal freedom. So he was looking to that. There is independent tribunal in I think it is in Holland. And so he took examples from them, and he wanted to open up to initiate an investigation, but also to actually legally sue some of these people who have resolved. I mean, who actually closed down and took away our freedoms and so forth. And then after he died, they say that some of these people who were in those meetings, they were infected by this famous virus from Wuhan. And he was Christian Gorder. He gave some lecture that was published. I think it was in November 2020, October or November, which is online, but it's in Norwegian language, where he was talking about these things, and he was very skeptical to the public narrative. And I made a video about him and about this, and YouTube just censored it. They say that if you don't agree with the World Health Organization or your government, then that is illegal in YouTube. So I'm not coming with any claims because I want this video to be up and going, right? I don't want to be censored. So of course I'm just sitting here in the Philippines. I don't know anything except for the information that I got, and that is what Hans Christian Gorder also said. He said, I don't have opinions. I gather information, and then I just share the information. Also, maybe 7 months ago, something like that, he was interviewed by a Christian journalist. They are into some Christian TV production in Norway, which is of course very minuscule, very limited public. And there he was being interviewed about the Vatican. He also had, like me, a very big interest in the Vatican because many of us have been inspired actually by church history via the ex-Jesuit. What was his name again? Well, he was interviewed and cooperated with Chick Publications with Jack Chick. Jack Chick is a famous writer who made a lot of comics about Christian faith, religious comics for evangelizing. But then when he came into contact with this ex-Jesuit that left the system during the late 1960s, and then he decided to blow off the lid to reveal what was going on. So that is another rabbit hole that both me and Christian Gorder has been very interested in, how the Jesuit order via the leader of the Jesuit order, which is called the Black Pope, the Jesuit general, how the Jesuits are a military organization. And Gorder was also very into the Maltese order, the order of Malta, how these guys are very influential on the highest level in the world politics, in global politics. And also he was very well versed within the Norwegian society, and he claimed, or he assumed, that many of the people that he was lecturing about, they were actually killed by the system, by the deep state. He was talking about deep state in Norway. Not many people do that because Norway is such a small nation. And Norway is actually very well controlled, a very well controlled society. Big Brother is following you everywhere. Personally, I'm a teacher. I'm a certified teacher in Norway, and my subjects are languages and philosophy and religion. I have also started a master, but I don't think I will ever finish that on the diplomas, at least. So, and my master was on global studies. But then things happened in my life that made me, instead of just sitting on a desk and writing a lot of theses, I actually have been traveling the world and seeing with my own eyes and interviewing quite a lot of important, high-ranking people about what is going on. So Christian Gorder, he was very much into this, and he was not a preacher, because I don't know, I don't think he was a born-again Christian, as we would say, but you know, God is merciful. If he believed in Jesus and all those things, maybe he was saved. I hope so, because he was a lovely person. And of course, as most of you guys, if you have been following conspiracy theories and so forth, we know there have been political assassinations, right? One of the most famous would be John F. Kennedy, who was shot in his convertible car. I think it was in 1962, right? Beside his wife there, and bang, they shot him. And so there have been a lot of movies, a lot of conspiracies about who shot John F. Kennedy. And one of the reasons why they had to get rid of Kennedy was because he was going against the deep state. And then we know that, it's a very well-known fact that the system, the deep system, and the globalists, they are able to take out whoever they want. And so if there is a president or a prime minister who is working against their agenda, it's quite likely that they will be taken out, either by killing their moral character or making them very sick, so they are not in capacity anymore to do their job, or physically removing them. So Gordo was talking about this, and of course there are high-tech weapons who can fry your brain, cause heart attacks and so forth, that will make it easy to say, oh, this person, he died from a natural death, right? So now Gorder, with his seminars, where he was quite open about some names. He gave some of the names of the deep state in Norway, and he was very brave. I mean, if you do this kind of work, you should be brave, because if what you say is true, then you might be the next target. So it's quite convenient that for the system that Mr. Gorder died, and especially that he died with the coronavirus, as they claim. His family, they want privacy about this thing, and they are quite upset that his name and his photo is in the national media. But some journalists said, well, he was quite a high-profile um, person, criticizing the system and standing up for these conspiracies. So obviously, it is our right as journalists to publish his photos, his name, because of his position in these environments. And one can think, oh yeah, he was stupid. He was stupid. He gathered people there in the barn, and there were too many people gathered. I think because I have not been in Norway for some years, but there are some restrictions about uh, you know, have social distancing, and you are not allowed to have more than so and so many people in your house. Now he had these meetings in a barn, so I don't know if they follow the rules or not. But what has been basically the news in Norway is that obviously they blame him and his gathering of people to say that they spread this virus. And also later on, a woman in her 70s who was physically at that seminar. She's also dead now with what they consider to be probably COVID-19. She had some lung problems, and also they say that Hans Christian Gaarder, according to his closest, he had physical problems for 1 or 2 weeks before he passed away. I suppose he was living alone because they say he didn't answer the phone, and then they came over to his house. But he was living in the vicinity of his family on a farm. So I don't know so much about this situation, and it's impossible for me to conclude with anything. I'm just saying that it was quite convenient that he died, and that he post mortem after his death, the abduction report said that he was infected with COVID-19. Now we know that there are many speculations about whether this test, the CPR test, if it's accurate or not. I have personally also been tested with this. I've been tested with two kinds of coronavirus tests because I was hospitalized in January here in Digos in the Philippines. And first I had one quite simple test, but that was not good enough because they had to operate on me. And so the doctor, the surgeon, actually, it was not the one that operated on me, but she was in the surgical team. She came into my room and she was very upset with me because I didn't wear a mask when I was in my private room in the hospital with my partner. And she looked like an alien. I mean, like she was totally covered, and she had a suit on that covered everything, her feet, her head, everything. And it was very hard for me to actually hear what she said because of all these coverings. But I had sepsis, and I don't even remember what it's called, but I have some very big infection on my back, and it grew very big. It was a lot of pus there, and it was quite dangerous, actually. They say I was lucky to survive the ordeal. But they didn't want to cut me and operate on that until I had the CPR test. And I didn't want to have the CPR test, but I had no option other than to be sent home and to die in my house. So I had that test, and it turned out that it was negative. So I did not test positive for the COVID-19. Of course, I'm very happy about that. Um, but and the funny thing here is that many of the surgeons in this city, in big city in Philippines, they cannot meet you in person. They wanted to give me a telephone consultation. I said, hey, I'm about to die here. I'm very, very sick. I cannot walk. I have all these problems, and it doesn't do me any good to have a telephone conversation with you guys. So basically, finally, I was admitted to the hospital. So I have personally been. Oh, and our little boy, now he's 3 years old. I think it was in June last year, in 2020. He had a pneumonia, so he was hospitalized. And some of the doctors, they were so afraid that he had COVID-19, so they wouldn't even get close to him. But they tested him, and he didn't have COVID-19. Okay, so you see, there is a big health issue here, because what I have observed, most of the hospitals here in the Philippines, in this area, they are basically empty, So, but you are not allowed to ask any questions, obviously. And then YouTube will censor you if you don't follow. You dance after the pipe. But seriously, YouTube, I'm not giving any medical advice here. I'm just asking some questions. And also, we have the president of Tanzania, John Magufuli, who was very outspoken against globalists' agenda for his country, Tanzania, and he refused to obey their orders. But finally, he realized there is a problem, so he encouraged people finally to wear masks. And then, very conveniently, he died. I think he died like a month ago. Some people say he died with COVID-19. Some people said he had a heart condition before, and he himself was a professional medical professional, and suddenly he was gone. So of course there might be some speculations, but if you speculate too much, you get arrested in Tanzania, because some people said, oh, he's sick, and they got arrested, but he was indeed sick, and now he's gone. So now there is a new president, his vice president, a woman, I don't remember her name now. She is now running the country. But we know that he was an outspoken critic about the pick they want to give you in your arm, to save the world. You know what I'm talking about. I cannot talk openly about it, obviously, because then YouTube will take down this video. What is very interesting is, as I say, that these guys who go up against the system and the deep state and reveal their actions and their methods, that they themselves become victims. And what is especially interesting with John Magufuli is some say he had COVID-19, that he died with COVID-19. Some other people say no, it was he had heart problems for many years. In Tanzania, some people speculate that he was murdered, that it was political assassination. Of course, I'm in the Philippines. I have no idea. I never met those people. So that is just speculations and questions that, in the name of liberty, in the name of research, and in the name of philosophy and whatever, religion, whatever, you must be allowed to use your brain and to use your mouth and to say, okay, well, wasn't this too convenient? And so what happened with Hans Christian Gaarder in Norway is that they mock him. Many people mock him because they say, oh, he didn't believe in the coronavirus, denier. Well, what I saw from his lecture that is online in Norwegian, I don't think he denied anything. He just asked questions. He says, please, we need some more proof. We need to have some proofs about, and also alternative methods from the VACCAN. Yeah, that. black stuff. Uh, if that is the only solution to the problem. So he was discussing this hydrochloroxine, whatever it's called again now, this the one malaria medicine that Donald Trump was talking about. And we also know that now there are some has been very promising results with something called ivermectin, which is basically a medication that has been on the market for many years, for decades, and that is very it's used to treat worms infections in both people and in animals. Here in the Philippines, it has only been approved to be used on animals. But some people here, I saw in the news here, that there is one hospital, but they don't want to disclose the name of the hospital. So there is one hospital here in the Philippines that they are allowed to treat the patients with ivermectin. And the distributors of ivermectin, actually one of them is the same company that also distributes the new vaccines. And they say, okay, let's have some clinical trials here in the Philippines, because they have a FDA here in the Philippines. And so they say, okay, let's give it a try. Me personally, I purchased ivermectin when I was very sick, because I thought maybe I have attracted that COVID-19 thing. I don't know what it was, and so but I didn't have any respiratory problems or anything. And I had a lot of infection on my skin, so I thought maybe maybe I have some worm or some kind of problem inside my body that reveals that I have a problem. So I was actually given some ivermectin that is supposed to be for pigs. Some people may say, "Oh, you are a pig." But I never used it because I don't know the dosage, and for what should I put something in my body without the proper consultation of a proper doctor? So, but anyway, I have some of those pouches here in my house, and but personally, I think that it should be allowed to experiment, because it's my body, but I am not allowed to give medical advices according to YouTube that goes against the mainstream. So I'm not giving any medical advice. I said, no, stay away. My medical advice is, if you can, stay away from everything that is not 100% proved, and 100% proved to be effective. So these we also have, when it comes to assassination of outspoken persons, there was a Spanish doctor who was against the narrative of HIV and AIDS and those things, and he was on TV shows, and he had a person there who had tested HIV positive, and he said, we can draw blood from your body and put in my body. I'm not worried about it. And this guy, he suddenly fell down on the street with heart attack. And it's very convenient that he disappeared. So there is no more questioning about the system and the public narrative, right? Hans Christian Gaarder, he named quite a lot of Norwegian politicians, but also other in academia that mysteriously and conveniently fell very ill, or they died because they were not in line with the deep state. So what is very, very interesting is, does this happen or does it not happen? We know that Abraham Lincoln, he was executed in the theater very publicly, bang, shotgun to his head. And they tried to take down Ronald Reagan back, I think it was in '81. So there is no, and then of course we have this rich guy who was, I don't remember his name now, but the guy, he owned some island and resort. I think it was in the Caribbean. They call it Lolita Express or Lolita Island, and his airplane was called the Lolita Express, and he was a friend with a British prince and with all the Clintons and stuff. You know the guy. He was arrested, and obviously he had gathered information about high-ranking persons who visited him in his place in New York, and also down in Florida, and of course on that island. And he was found to committed suicide inside a high security cell in his prison in New York. So there are many questions about how did he actually die. But all these are just being speculations. But we must be allowed to ask some questions. Are we not allowed to ask questions anymore? This is a quite scary situation. Uh, at least if you are afraid to die, and they will not take you out just like that. They will call your employer and ask questions. Why do you allow this person to work as a professor, or to have this job at your university or in your company? Because these guys are crazy, and this is happening all the time. Murder of your character. So if you don't comply and you are not obedient enough, you don't jump when they say jump, you don't sit where they say sit, and you don't shut up about the things you're not, that they don't like you to talk about, then they will first of all go after your character. Then they will attack you through your closest friends, your family, maybe your wife. They will take down your YouTube channels, like what happened with Alex Jones, for example, and many others. Even Donald Trump lost his Twitter presence. They just and many people ask, "Oh, what does Donald Trump say about this thing?" Oh, we don't know, because he was banned from Facebook, he was banned from Twitter, and so forth. So you see, this is a double-edged sword. If you don't allow these people to speak out freely and to have the platforms, then there will be just more and more conspiracy theories growing, huh? So it's better to have a freedom of speech in all platforms, than to put everything in the darkness, and to silence those who critique the public narrative. Don't you think so? Okay, thank you for watching, and God bless you.